please call the roll.
Winters.
Here.
Lahr. Dowling.
Here.
Swallow. Here. Bear. Here. Brooks.
Here.
Stelling.
Here.
Bowman.
Okay. All right. Item 4 is to vote to receive the official election returns for the general election held April 4th, 2023 for Jim Scribner, City Marshal, Kelly Parker, Mayor, Garrett Lahr, Ward 1, Seat 2, Gail Swallow, Ward 2, Seat 2, Joe Parsons, Ward 4, Seat 2.
I motion to receive the official election returns for general election held April 4th, 2023 for those listed.
I second.
I have a motion by Mr. Stelling, a second by Mrs. Beer to receive the official election returns for the April 4th general election. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Stelling.
Yes.
Bear. Yes. Dowling.
Yes.
Swallow. Yes. Brooks.
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
All right. Item 5 is a swearing-in ceremony for Jim Scribner, City Marshal, Kelly Parker, Mayor, Garrett Lahr, Ward 1, Seat 2, Gail Swallow, Ward 2, Seat 2, Sadie Beer, Ward 3, Seat 2, Joe Parsons, Ward 4, Seat 2. Can't really swear in Garrett or Mr. Scribner.
No, I guess we'll have to do that now. We have that printed out.
I think that Heather has, if you don't have it, Heather has it.
I've got it.
All right.
Do you have that? Yeah.
You just have to go, whoever you don't know.
Oh. Oh, you guys ready? All right. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma, and that you will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly, any money or other valuable things for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to your office other than the compensation allowed by law? Do you further swear or affirm that you will faithfully discharge your duties as you've been elected to the best of your ability?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, and I'll take just a moment to thank Mr. Stelling for his 8 years of service to the City Council, and I know you're going to continue to serve our community in many different ways, but we appreciate you, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Item 6 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at City Council meetings will be approved by one vote of the Council. Any member of the Council desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items: approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 20th, 2023, approval of the minutes of the special meeting of March 31st, 2023, and I will tell you that we do have amended minutes for that meeting, so we will want to pull that out. And then item C, approval of claims in the amount of $395,051.38 and payroll expenses of $190,095.60. And item D, approval of ASAP Energy Inc. expense $35,482.55, and that is for airport fuel.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling item B for further consideration.
I second.
Have a motion from Mr. Winters and a second from Mrs. Beer to approve the consent agenda excluding item B, the minutes of the special meeting March 31st. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters.
Yes.
Bear. Yes. Brooks.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Dowling.
Yes.
Swallow. Yes.
All right. Item 7 is consideration and action on items removed from the consent agenda. The minutes that were presented with the agenda didn't accurately reflect the voting of our last of that special meeting, so I will just highlight the changes.
I don't see any highlighted changes on mine.
I said I will highlight the changes.
you will, sorry.
So when you get down to the votes, the first vote,
Bottom of the front of the page.
okay, there it is, very bottom of the first page. Roll was called with the following results. On the motion made by Stelling, seconded by Swallow to purchase Ford F-550 minus the power load system in the amount of $342,000. The votes were ayes, Stelling, Swallow, Bowman. Nays were Brooks, Dowling, Lahr, and Parker. And then the next motion was by Mr. Dowling to table discussion. And that was seconded by Mr. Brooks to seek more bids. And the votes for that motion were ayes, Dowling, Brooks, Bowman, and the nays were Stelling, Lahr, Swallow, Parker. Those were the changes. I did also, I'll point out, the reference to the power load system. I can't remember what it said in the original copy of the minutes, but I think it said power lift system or something like that, but I changed that to power load system as well. So. Is there a motion on the special meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes.
I second.
Have a motion from Mr. Winters and a second from Mrs. Beer to approve the minutes of the special meeting of March 31st, 2023. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters.
Yes.
Bear. Yes. Dowling.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Swallow. Yes. Parsons.
Yes.
Item 8, reports from staff. We don't have a planning commission meeting report. Mr. Bowman's not here for a hospital authority meeting report. Mr. Dowling, do you have a library board meeting report?
Absolutely. The library was pretty good. We had some questions about the financial report, and we were actually lucky enough to be joined by our new city's business manager, which I think they indicated that they're working on that. There's just some overages on certain accounts. I think we talked about in the last meeting where we were taking out of, I think she said department maintenance, and then she didn't necessarily plan for overtime. And she said she had talked to you about it, and you guys were working on some solutions. Outside of that, we kind of talked about, I think we took the opportunity to kind of flaunt some of the things we wanted fixed in the library with the new business manager there. Talked about some of the projects we wanted. There's always been kind of an issue with the staircase and the railing of theirs and what they wanted to change that with some plexiglass looks. We talked about needs for air conditioners. We also talked about the rescheduling of the budget retreat because they kind of wanted to know how that went, but we'll talk about it at our next meeting. There was also talk about the paint. We agreed to paint the office for the staff and stuff like that, and Sandra told me how they've started that and they like the way it's looked. We also talked about carpet and extending that paint project to be in the share room there at the hospital that we had for meetings. We had looked, we had a librarian staff took the initiative to fill out some grants for some software like Whoif. It helps do some, I guess I won't bore you guys, but it gives analytical information about visits and stuff on different websites. And then we talked about the success of the summer program that's being kicked up and the National Library Week activities. and imagination library. So a lot of good things going on at the library, and then Tai Chi classes. I believe we thought about that Monday through Friday for an hour. Definitely check those out on the library's website. All right, thank you.
Council have any questions for Mr. Dallin? Thank you, Taylor. Item D, Arena Authority meeting. There has not been an Arena Authority meeting. Item E, Alva Tourism Tax Commission meeting. Mrs. Beer.
We met last week on the 12th. The only presentation was from the new football coach, Ronnie Jones, and it was for the annual golf fundraiser, and it was approved to give them $5,000.
Does council have any questions for Mrs. Beer? Thank you. Alva Board of Adjustments meeting. There was not one of those. Regional Airport Commission meeting. In addition to routine business, there was consideration for a purchase of a mower and a 6-passenger vehicle. And both those items, no action was taken on those items. We did ask Mr. Corson, the airport manager, to get us some more quotes on mowers and vehicles. And so if those are within the spending limits of staff, then they won't go back to the board. But if they exceed spending limits, then they'll go back to the board for approval. So, is there anything else on that you recall?
Yeah, I thought we moved forward with long, because it kind of was 3 quotes and then cheaper.
Well, that was after the meeting.
Yeah, it was, yeah. That's right.
Questions from council? Thank you. Next item is the Recreation Complex Board meeting on last week.
April the 12th.
Ms.
We had a discussion from Kimberly Horn on the public meeting for Hatfield Park that had occurred the evening before. We also had a little bit of a discussion on the pool, that they were doing utility checks on that, and for turf for the ARC ball fields. And they're working with OG&E on our electric bills because the baseball pot is always higher than any other area of the ARC, so they're trying to get that figured out. And they received a $100,000 donation for the turf project.
Does the council have any questions for Mrs. Swallow? Thank you. Next item is the cemetery meeting. Lenny's not here. I will say that we had a pretty lengthy discussion on the green burial policy that's been proposed, and action on that was tabled for further discussion and research. And then we also, the cemetery board voted to not do the lime improvements at the Alfalfa County property that's the cemeteries. It was deemed that was outside the scope of the existing agreement, and so future agreements can take that into consideration, but this agreement does not. Any questions regarding the cemetery board meeting?
What were some of the pros and cons of the green burial that was discussed?
Oh my gosh. It was a lengthy discussion. There will be expenses for both funeral homes as well. The funeral directors from Wharton's and Marshall's were both here. There would be increased expenses for them to have equipment and supplies in order to perform a green preparation. They wouldn't be able to sell plots, specific plots. You'd have to buy just a plot, and you get whichever one you're in order for. There was just a lot of considerations whether or not we use heavy equipment to dig the holes, whether all kinds of stuff. I don't know where they're going to land. So.
Were there any? What were some of the positive things about it that were discussed?
Green, I guess if people want a green burial, that would be an option if they approve a policy that.
And that's a lot of what they're doing. They're trying to, anyway, they're trying to work out that policy to kind of get something together to bring to a larger committee. It's just, they're using is that place in Stillwater, Green Valley or
Something like that.
Yeah, they're using a lot of their bylaws and things like that to kind of get an idea of what this would look like here. So it's still very young, very, very immature.
They're going to, I imagine there'll be much more discussion before they land on anything. Next item, any other questions about the cemetery board meeting? All right, next item is the finance committee meeting. Mr. Winters?
We're still trending positively. Cash accounts sitting at just about $3.4 million at the end of March, and our investments are at about $2.3 million. We've collected, for the city as a whole, we've collected about 73.61% of budgeted revenue. That is slightly below where we would like to see it. We should be at 75%, but we've only expended 71% of budgeted expenses. The general fund is probably the lowest in regards to revenue collections at the 67.41%. A lot of that is because we haven't done the transfer from the utility authority that we've discussed, that we don't anticipate we're going to have to do as much as we had originally budgeted for it. I think you said this month, it's not on this report, it'll be on next report, is we have a transfer on that one, but we've gone several months without having to do a transfer. So things are looking pretty positive in that respect.
There was a transfer in March.
Okay, so that was in this report, there was a transfer, but we haven't had to do so in several months. And we don't anticipate we'll have to do so again this fiscal year. We received a total of about $397,000 and some change in sales and use tax for the month of March, which is up 13.37% from March of last year, but down 8% from February of 2023. And then we continue to trend on our fund balance. Our general fund continues to trend up. We're at $85,796.57 in our general fund balance. So that's continuing to go in a positive direction. Rest of the meeting, we just kind of reviewed additional discussion about the upcoming budget as we work to continue to prepare that to present to council. So,
Any questions for Mr. Winters?
On the 3.4 million cash balance, what exactly is that? We say that, that's just available for normal monthly expenses, or is that available for,
that is all of our cash balances, from pool cash, the savings account, the donation fund, 522 checking, airport checking. That is all cash.
Okay, that clarifies it.
About 15 different fund categories.
As far as pooled cash, which is going to be primarily cover most of our general operations outside of utilities, it's just under $2 million in cash. But I do believe there's a little bit of that still has to be transferred to the airport out of that $2 million. Am I correct on that?
And the $2 million,
There's still money in the pooled cash account that
it's the line that's designated for savings account.
Yeah, that's at $248,000.
It won't be that entire amount.
Okay, so we have $2 million then for general fund.
But the airport's portion of pool cash is about $650,000, I think.
Yes, $650,000 plus the savings account. And I thought there was more.
They have their own checking account that's also got about $650,000 in it.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Which I would like to know, in our general fund, we haven't been near 2 million in a very long time. So for us to get there is quite the feat.
We got over in December, and we're over again in March. And
Yeah, I should actually, because there is 100,000. When I say 1.9 million, there's 100,000 in pooled cash for the AEA that hasn't been moved over. That's still because we have some weird accounting because how we split the Parks and Rec, but it is at $2 million.
What would you break that down as, like the unassigned value of that $2 million? Like, or you know what I mean? You would represent
It's
the
about
airport
$600,000.
fund, 600,000.
any other questions regarding the finance committee meeting? All right. Next item is the mayor's report. Well, number one, for those of you that were able to attend the budget retreat, thank you. I felt like that was very productive. Daniel and I have been through several of those at this point, and this one seemed to, we didn't have as much side conversations and whatnot, allowed us to really focus on the, what the needs were going to be moving forward, and so I think that was great. So thank you guys for that. I did want to mention that as far as this meeting is concerned tonight, I failed to, I'm going to blame Steve, but it wasn't his fault. Steve didn't put the council president election on this agenda. Again, I'm going to have fun with this for a little bit anyway. But we will get that on the next meeting agenda. Also, wanted to mention that we did get bids on our water line project with ARPA, and they came in at $805,000 for the low bid. We didn't put it on this agenda because for the utility authority to approve that bid, because there is $195,000 left that we will get to use with the ARPA money. And so when we approve a bid, it's going to include a change order from Myers Engineering that allows us to spend that entire amount that OWRB is going to give us. So the preliminary conversations have centered around two options. One being extending the number of feet of line that we replace. The other being replacing valves along our main line that runs from the well field to town. Because if you recall, the lack of valves on that line kind of created more problems for us as we tried to repair the lines this past fall and winter. So Drake's nodding his head. That's what he wants to do. I think.
Valves.
Yeah. But we'll have Myers get that change order to that plan so that when we approve the bid, it'll include all of that. So, and then it has to be to OWRB in May. So we'll probably end up having a special meeting as soon as that's available, because I think it'll be putting us too close if we wait until our May 15th meeting. So, other than that, I wanted to point out that the Lieutenant Governor's turkey hunt will start Wednesday. I know we have, I don't have the list, but with Jeremy Zeller and Kay Decker and the Economic Development Committee for Woods County, they've got another good event planned for this year, and we look to hopefully turn some heads towards Alva, make them look at relocating their operations. And we did limit participation a little bit this year just because of the drought and turkey population being down. But the people that they invited, they've targeted based on projects that are going on in Alva and Woods County. So, yeah, I think Thursday night the Lieutenant Governor will be here. I believe council members, if you didn't get an invitation, let me know. You should have. But that'll be Thursday evening.
Thursday. If I don't know, maybe I misplaced it. Is it too late to get one?
I'll let Jeremy know.
All right, thank you.
And last but not least, Steve Ford started this week. Steve started last week. They're all running together.
So short me a week.
Steve started on Monday, and I think he had a pretty good week. You actually went to more meetings than I did, but somewhere between 10 and 15 meetings last week with everything going on with the pool project and the Hatfield Park project, and then special meetings with the Parks and Rec and Cemetery Board. He's willing to stay late to work, guys, so that's good. But I think he's getting his feet wet. Like I said, he put together the agenda and got it all ready for everybody. And so the only mistakes he made were the mistakes I made. So we'll be working on some claim stuff here in the next today on the process for, paying our bills. He's worked on payroll today, and so he's trying to take a sip out of a fire hose. So that's, but hadn't scared him off yet. And I will say, and I mentioned it in my prayer, but our firefighters have had their hands full, not just Alva, but all the rural fire departments with fires throughout the county. And, so I think Devin told me there were 3 or 4 fires they were working on today. So keep them in your thoughts as they are out there trying to keep us all safe. That concludes my report. Any questions for, and I think I even left you, if you wanted to say a few things. I don't think I covered it all.
No, I think you did.
Any questions?
Were the invitations supposed to come in the mail for that, or?
Yes.
I don't think I ever got.
Some went out email too.
So I received one via email and via mail, but I think the one I received email was yesterday or today.
Okay.
So they might just.
I take no credit or blame for the post office. So, but I'll let Jeremy know to reach out to you guys. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Item number 9, remarks and inquiries by citizens. Public comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and we would ask that if you do speak, if you're able, please approach the podium and tell us your name, and we'll go from there.
Hi, my name is Rena Rice. I moved here in December. I bought the RV park behind the Bull Restaurant and Saloon. When I bought it, Chris Campbell, very nice man, and I don't have any blame towards him whatsoever. He told me that I was allowed to have chickens when I was still in Nevada before I moved here. So I moved here and I stayed in a motel for a little while, and I plan on building a tiny house on my property as well as open the RV park, fix it up. And then I got some chickens, and then somebody said, "Did you get signatures for those?" And I said, "Signatures for why?" And so they said, "Oh, you have to have signatures." So then I got the paperwork from City Hall, and I went around, and I was like, this is ridiculous, but okay. So I went and got some signatures, since I'm way out there, and it used to be a chicken property and a horse property that I live on. It seemed kind of surprising. But anyway, so it is the rules, so I did what I was supposed to do. I got, you have to have all the properties that you borderline, all those signatures. So I border the Bull Restaurant, I border Sam, don't know his last name now, but he's on the side of the Bull right there. I got his signature. Those are the 2 properties that border me. I got both of those, and I have to have 100% of those, and I got 100% of those. I'm supposed to have 51% of all those who don't border my property. So I got the Mackeys. They drove into town just to sign my form, and they're saying, "Who's making you do this? This is ridiculous." And I was like, "This is what I have to do." So they signed it for me, and then I asked Connor Martin, but he said that he had to think about it, took a picture of my form, and said he'd call me, but he never called. So that was clearly a no. So now I only have to have 51% of the people who don't border my property. So that gives me 50%. So this 1%, they came by and told me I'm not allowed to have my chickens over this 1%. So I'm here today to ask you guys to consider letting me have the chickens. I mean, it's already cost me, I've already lost $14,000 over this subject. And that's a whole nother thing that's happened because I had to make other plans for everybody and all my animals and stuff like that because of the animal control problems that are in this town, that every single person I spoke to in this town had a different horror story about it, and I don't know why that's allowed, but it is what it is. So I've made other arrangements. Therefore, I'm running out of money. So therefore, the RV park kind of looks like heck right now. It will be. I will have some money in the months to come.
Ms. Wright, thank you. The 2 minutes is up.
Oh.
I will tell you that that's been assigned to staff, and to get the variance with the Board of Adjustments, I think the staff were going to work with you to get in front of that board meeting, because that's not a decision that council will make.
But they said that you guys made the laws. That's what Sunshine told me. She said, well, the council made the laws, and I'm only up here upholding them. And I did speak today to Sandhill, who actually
We've
bought
got
my
it.
property, and they said
Ms.
they would
Rice.
sign. Was that not
If you
enough?
would, I mean, you can, if you'll go through the process with the Board of Adjustments first,
But we'll-
that's not on our agenda to make any, we can't discuss anything as a city council.
So why did I even come here today?
Well, we instructed the staff to tell you that it was a Board of Adjustments issue first. And then if you go through that, then if the Board of Adjustments doesn't give you permission, then,
Who are they?
well, they decide, the Board of Adjustment decides what can and can't be, if they're going to offer any variances to our code of ordinances.
Oh, okay, but what I didn't want you to finish saying is that today Sandhill said they would
So
sign,
it's
so
not-
that would give me my 51%.
I'm really not trying to shut you down, but we do have, we've got to run the rest of our
Okay,
meeting.
Sure, got it. It's a big club, and I'm not in it. I got it.
We aren't able to discuss items that aren't on our agenda.
When does the Board of Adjustments meet, by chance?
When they get a request for a variance.
Oh, okay.
This 2 minutes per speaker, is that a hard limit that we've set? Is that by ordinance, or is that just a policy?
That's just what we do to stay on track so we can keep our business.
Okay.
So, it's something we said, I think. We could adjust it if we ever wanted to.
But, all right. Number 10. Any other public comments? Number 10 is recognition of Jacoby Merrill, transfer station attendant, for going above and beyond the scope of his normal job duties to deliver exceptional customer service. Mr. Ford?
Joe Toby, you can come up here. So, just to keep it simple, I'm just going to flat out read you the email we got from Mr. Steve Newman. He said, I'm writing this email to let you know about one of your exceptional employees. I was in Alva last week cleaning up some property and made several trips to the landfill north of town. I was met by Jacoby Merrill. When I first arrived, Jacoby was extremely helpful and conversational. I explained my situation, and he was articulate in explaining what was and was not allowed in the landfill. Knowing regulations, I brought some items that weren't allowed in the landfill. Not knowing my options, he was helpful in sending me to the appropriate place to dispose of the trash I had. Upon my second arrival, he jumped in at the break and helped me offload my trash. He did this every time I showed up, which is more than I anticipated. I greatly appreciate his help. So I recognize how someone in that position could easily stand by and watch someone do their work. Rather than waiting for me to leave and sweep up the mess I left, he willingly jumped in and offered his help several times. This speaks volumes to the customer service for the city of Alva, especially delivered. Jacoby demonstrated exceptional work ethic while maintaining the integrity of the landfill. I appreciate his friendly, helpful attitude while standing in the middle of everyone's trash. He is to be commended for his work. And so because of that, this is our rewards policy. Jacoby will receive a dinner for two in any restaurant that he chooses within the city of Alva limits. He'll receive 8 hours of special vacation time, and he'll receive tickets for two to the Rialto Theater. And so, if you'll come here and get your there's your write-up should hang on the wall. So, and just see Heather tomorrow sometime, and she'll get you hooked up with everything you need to go to dinner and go to the theater.
Thank you. Thanks, Jacoby.
Thank you, Jacoby.
Item 11, discussion and action regarding the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group 2023 trustee election. So in your packet, there was information on the nominees for this year. These are 3-year terms that as a member of OMAG, we get to help choose who is elected to these trustee positions, and trustee positions set policies for OMAG and that sort of thing. OMAG, for our new members, is our liability insurance carrier. So, the nominees are Tim Lyon, the city manager of Midwest City, and Pam Polk, city manager of Collinsville, and they are incumbents. Not incumbent are Justin Battles, the city manager of Mustang, Brian Lindley, city manager at Choctaw, Russ Meacham, the financial officer at Perry, and Elizabeth Sloat, the city court clerk at Hilton. I do know that I don't know Tim. I've worked with Pam quite a bit. I have nothing but good things to say about Pam. She's been involved with OMAG for quite some time. But we do need to pick 3 people. I don't really have anything more to contribute to their qualifications or anything like that. But they're in the packet. You should have, I think there was the election form as well as the biographical sketches. So I would entertain a motion. We would choose 3.
Can we just draw their names out of the hat?
I don't
It's
see.
It's really hard when you read the biographical information,
They're all
you don't really know.
They're very similar.
I tend to, when I look at it, try to think about who represents the city that is most similar to Alva, and that's traditionally what we have done in the past. And
Thanks, Jacoby.
frankly, I'm not sure who that would be. But
Perry is of comparable size.
that was the one I was looking at.
Collins, everything else is, I'm not sure about Hamilton.
It's smaller.
It's smaller, okay. Everything else is bigger than Alva.
I would make a motion to, I assume we're voting, right? A motion to vote for the 2 incumbents in addition to Russ Meacham in the city of Perry.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Winters, a second from Mrs. Beer, to elect Tim Lyon, City Manager of Midwest City, Pam Polk, City Manager of Collinsville, and Russ Meacham, Financial Officer of Perry, to the OMAG, in the 2023 OMAG trustee election. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Parsons,
Yes.
Dowling,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Okay. We'll get that ballot filled out and sent in. Next item, number 12, discussion and action regarding resolution number 23-8, the resolution of the Alva City Council amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual budget for the city of Alva, Oklahoma. This is a budget resolution based on the action taken at the March 31st special meeting, which we will increase loan proceeds and capital outlay, so they will offset each other in an amount of $343,983, and that is for the ambulance that was approved.
It may not be relevant, but is this lease payment budgeted in our upcoming year's budget?
It was budgeted in both years' budgets, actually.
Okay.
Well, it's in the,
And we're amending this year's budget for it, and then the lease payment is budgeted for in the 2023-2024.
and we budgeted lease payments in the 23 budget, and then we budgeted the lease payments in the 24 budget if we approve it. Again, we'll have the lease as the next item on the agenda, so this just gives us the budget authority to
To do so.
do so.
I'll motion to approve resolution 2023-8.
I'll second.
Have a motion from Mr. Winters and a second from Mrs. Beer to approve resolution number 2023-8. Is there any further discussion?
I just want to clarify that the council did look at other options, but it was a time issue. Is that part of the reason that, I know they talked about the type 2 instead. I wasn't in the meeting, but this is the only ambulance that we're able to get timely to be able to provide
that we
what
could,
we need, that we could find.
that we could find.
Because I don't support spending this amount on an ambulance when we could potentially get two smaller ones for close to the same price, but if it's all that's there, it's kind of what we're stuck with, is that?
Yeah, it was, the minutes of the special meeting kind of reflect the nature of that entire discussion, and
And I reviewed that, so I just wanted to clarify that, so.
any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes.
Dowling,
No.
Brooks,
No.
Parsons.
Yes.
All right. Item 13 is discussion and action regarding approval of a lease purchase agreement with Alva State Bank for the Ford F-550 4x2 diesel type 1 Braun Chief XL stock ambulance for $343,983 with an annual payment of up to $58,342. The banks all, you'll see a letter from Todd Holder. The banks all went together on this note. They are getting us 5% interest. All of the local banks are participating. It is a term of 7 years. And there are provisions in the lease that if the city does not budget future payments, the ambulance will go back to the lender, and it'll be the lenders to sell or whatever at that point. Go ahead.
Question. So, looking at that lease, and just question on this, right now we are kind of in a situation where we're having to purchase this ambulance. It's probably more than what we actually need, in my opinion. Say in the future, something that's going to make more economical sense for the city of Alva, whether it's two smaller units comes up, how that's run, is that something that can be looked at?
Once we do this, we can sell it if we want, yeah.
But it's not, the city's not, it's a year by year how it's structured, correct?
While it could be done that way, that is a real fast way to damage a relationship with banks.
And that's what my question is. I looked at the agreement. And that's, if it's going to be damaging, absolutely not. But just, I don't know the standard of how municipal loans work. If this is something that's a common practice of looking at how they have it wrote, how the lease is wrote, or if that's just how they.
We can't encumber funds for more than a year.
Okay.
So that's why it's written that way. It's really not written that way with the idea or notion that we
Well,
would
I
choose to do that unless we had to, because
Okay.
it's essentially defaulting on a loan.
Well, that's kind of where my question's coming. If it is defaulting on, obviously you wouldn't want to do that, or the equivalent, but I didn't know how that. So
It doesn't put us in a default category because we can't make an agreement, and they know we can't
Okay,
make an
so that's-
agreement more than 1 year. And
But-
so,
and I
We
think
still aren't going to be happy.
It's great that all our local banks are coming in together. Just seeing that. It's just Alva's a great community, and that they're all working together to help provide for a nice ambulance for our citizens. I think it's great. But just a question.
now Joe, I will let you know that the city council is, for the general fund, that's the only body that we serve on that's applicable to. So when we talk about utility authority or the economic development authority, they can get loans
Okay.
in more of a traditional nature. City council cannot.
Makes sense. Thank you.
$5% interest was better than we were anticipating. We were expecting 5.9 or 6, and so that's, I think probably because the banks are going to work together on that, they did that. So
I'd make a motion to approve the lease purchase agreement as stated in the agenda.
I second.
have a motion from Mr. Winters, second from Mr. Beer, to approve the lease purchase agreement with Alva State Bank for the ambulance as specified for $343,983 with an annual payment of up to $58,342. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Parsons,
Yes.
Brooks,
No.
Dowling,
No.
Swallow,
Yes.
Item 14 discussion and action regarding approval of engagement letter for accounting and consulting services with Crawford and Associates, PC, for fiscal year 23-24. Crawford and Associates provides a variety of accounting and consulting services for us, and in the past year they've provided probably more so than in previous years, and also probably more so than they will provide in next year. But this engagement letter allows us to work with them next year, and that's basically that.
How long have we been working with them?
Gosh, I don't know. Heather, do you know? Since it's been a long time. They are the leading municipal accounting firm in the state of Oklahoma and have been for years. I know we've been working with them every bit of 5 or 6 years probably. They don't tell us how we should spend our money or anything like that. They tell us if there are laws that impact the decisions we make. They help make sure that our reporting meets the state laws and that sort of thing.
Help prepare our financial statements.
Or audit,
that
yes.
When we audit, and then another firm audits those financial statements.
How is this agreement compared to the one?
This is an engagement letter.
Oh, the engagement? Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve the engagement letter for accounting and consulting services with Crawford and Associates, PC, for FY 23-24.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Winters, a second from Ms. Beer to approve the engagement letter for accounting and consulting services with Crawford and Associates for fiscal year 23-24. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Dowling,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Item 15 is discussion and action to approve the mayor's recommendation to appoint Heath Sheelight to the Parks and Recreation Board for the unexpired term of Dr. Troy Smith. This term actually ends in October. I think everybody's well aware that Dr. Smith passed away while in office with that board, and we've had the vacancy for a few months now, and I have spoken with Mr. Sheelight. He is willing and able to fill the unexpired term, as well as beyond that, with council approval. If you don't know, he is a financial advisor here in town. He's got a young family. They're active in the parks and recreation complex, and so that's my recommendation.
Make a motion to approve the mayor's recommendation to appoint Heath Sheelight to the Parks and Recreation Board for the unexpired term of Dr. Troy Smith.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Winters with a second from Mrs. Beer to appoint Heath Sheelight to Parks and Recreation Board for Dr. Smith's unexpired term. Is there any further discussion?
Just like to comment, I kind of like if we're going to appoint somebody for him to be here to answer questions about the position that we're about, especially because I don't know who he is. I mean, he's probably fine, but I would like for them to answer questions for anybody that has them, and maybe have a bio or something to go over.
Okay.
I didn't know in your discussion with him, had he talked about his views on that board's evolving role to take more responsibility for the parks direction and anything like that? Had he mentioned his concerns there or anything like that?
I don't typically ask people where they stand on issues. I think it's important that I try to pick good people and let good people make good decisions and not try to influence what they want to do or don't want to do in that position. I think Heath is a good person, and I think he will make good decisions in the best interest of the city of Alva.
Can I say something about Heath? His daughter is actually on my daughter's softball team, and he has helped coach. He has stepped in when he's needed. He's kind to everybody, and he does go above and beyond anytime that somebody needs something, not just our team either. So this would actually probably be the most perfect board if he's going to serve the community of Alva for him, because he does he's very active with the children, so.
He's a good guy.
Does he live within the city of Alva?
I think he's
He doesn't,
outside.
is he?
I think he's outside.
Oh.
He's outside.
Oh, wait, I'm
outside the
sorry,
city
I'm
limits.
thinking of McLean, sorry.
Is that by my parents? That's why I
I'll
know
say I was
that.
thinking of McLean. Because they both coach.
Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes,
Parsons,
Yes.
Dowling,
No.
Brooks,
Abstain.
Item 16 is new business. We don't have anything, to my knowledge, that would qualify as new business. Item 17, remarks and inquiries by council members.
I don't know, but Mrs. Rice, who spoke today, I understand the talk that we have to set it at 2 minutes to keep stuff moving. I've not seen too many times where we just start swamped with public comments. I think there might be a little wiggle room there, or change in policy, where if someone needs a little bit more time, we can give them a little bit more time. I also, as someone who's wanted to address the council numerous times on a certain thing, and where the public comment is, it's kind of difficult. Wouldn't be opposed to seeing that item added to any item that's voted on. I know that no one likes long meetings, but we're here to serve the people of Alva, and I feel like more civic engagement and people and us telling them that their opinions and their thoughts really do matter, and we want them here if they have questions or comments. I feel like that'd be a good way to put it. I also feel that Mrs. Rice has not got the, whether her engagement with her interaction with the animal control or other people in the city, it sounds like she's had the Alva welcome that I would want someone who's moving to our community, who's investing and opening a new business, and that's concerning for me. I don't know the details there, but I would like to see if maybe someone could reach out to Mrs. Rice and just say, hey, we apologize that you haven't had the perfect experience. We're glad you're in Alva, and we're glad you're investing in our community. So.
I think I'd like to see him have more time to talk, especially if there's only one person. If we have some kind of a sliding scale that we can adopt where, depending on how many people are showing up. I mean, I understand for a lot of people, limited, that there's only 1 or 2 people, maybe somebody give them a little more time or something.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that.
I think you open up a slippery slope.
Well, yes, but like how there's only one person, I mean, 5 minutes, I mean, I think if she could have gotten a couple more minutes, and I totally understand.
And the next time when there's 10 people,
But-
someone
but
doesn't
you-
get
you
5
adjust-
minutes, and now
Yes,
you open yourself up to
Yeah,
judgment and a
yeah.
slippery slope, and I think it's dangerous. There's no way to know how many people intend to speak and who don't
I
intend to
know.
speak. Our contact information is publicly available on the website. Once it's been updated, Joe, I don't think yours is, but at this point, but it's publicly available.
If we put them on the agenda, they can speak and talk
Yes.
longer, right?
Yes.
Maybe we just
It's an agenda item.
put something out there to work with that.
I can give you some examples of what other cities do, because it's a broad range, from no public comment at all to
Yeah, which I see both sides, and I don't want to go to no public comment, I don't think that that's right, but I do, I mean, 2 minutes is pretty quick, depending on what you're doing, I mean. But, I'm not saying give them 20, but I mean, even 4 might even have helped in this situation. I don't know. I see both sides.
We have to make sure that we don't start discussing items that aren't on our
Well,
agenda.
Yes, I agree, yeah.
And I think you
By
open yourself up to
legality.
that with increased time.
We could preface the public comment section with that so they have an understanding ahead of
I will tell you, Ms. Rice was contacted and informed that city council could not take action on this
Okay.
prior to the meeting.
And I think she was just here because she's not happy with how I think a big part of it from me listening to her is the animal control, and she didn't speak a whole ton on that, but she's not the first person I've heard with that issue. So, like I said, it bothers me that we have someone who's investing in Alva that, stormed out of the city council meeting. They were so frustrated because they didn't feel like they were being heard by the cities.
And she also had the question that she turned in that petition, but since has had somebody say that they would sign in her favor. Does she have to restart that petition, or can she get that petition back to add an additional signature to it? Or is that something, who would even handle that type of question?
That goes through our code enforcement. I
So
don't
she
think,
just probably, what Adam brings in?
Yeah.
guys, if I've got these questions in advance, I can bring you answers. but-
Oh, that's what I didn't know until I saw her up there. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions from council members or remarks?
I just want to thank Randy for his service.
Yes.
So, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the city council meeting, and we will open the regular meeting of the Alpha Utility Authority. Please call the roll.
Winters,
Here?
Lahr, Dowling,
Here.
Swallow,
Here.
Bear,
Here.
Brooks,
Here.
Parsons,
Here.
Bowman.
Item 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AUA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 20th, 2023. And item B, approval of claims in the amount of $182,599.79 and payroll expenses of $49,129.41. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Have a motion from Mr. Winters, a second from Mrs. Beer to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Dowling,
Yes.
Parsons,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes.
Item 5 is discussion and action regarding approval of a $68,220 purchase of a Pipe Hunter Model 7724 tandem axle trailer jet with 700-gallon water capacity, hydraulic rotating, articulating hose reel, left to right and hose in and out, and 2,500 PSI at 40 gallons per minute, GPM. Drake, would you care to address the council? Tell us about your equipment need here.
So we have a sewer jetter that is broke down. It's been broke down since December. It's a truck. This that he just said is a trailer jetter. The cost to fix the truck is actually more than it is to go ahead and buy a trailer. I've reached out to multiple companies to look at quotes for that. This trailer jetter is a way better option than what we've got. Even so, you don't have to have a CDL to run the truck, so that kind of cuts the CDL out of the way. And it's going to be, it was last time I checked, I don't know, it's been a while, parts could have gone up. It was going to be $110,000 to put a new water pump and a hydraulic actuator on our sewer truck, which is obviously more than the brand new trailer that we're looking at. And it's such an old model, they don't even know if they can get the parts right now to fix it. They said we were a year out. That was Key Equipment that I had that quote through. And I don't know, I think Key Equipment is the one that has the trade-in. They're willing, there's no other company that's going to trade in for our truck because of the year, the miles, the hours. They can't sell it, so they can't make a profit on it. They don't want it. Key has actually offered to do a trade-in with us. I believe it was $20,000 trade-in, and I've got a $10,000 grant from OMAG on a sewer trailer, or you can get a truck or a trailer with it. Very desperate. We've been borrowing Cherokees, and we've been using Morelands, and it's kind of been a little bit of a nightmare. Every time we have a problem, we have to make sure Cherokee doesn't have a problem, get their equipment and bring it back to Alva. It's not ideal, but that's how we've been having it.
Does the new piece of equipment you're looking at, have the same capabilities as the old one did when it was operational?
So the difference between the old piece of equipment is there is a hydrovac portion of it. The vac portion of it, I don't believe it's worked since I've been working here. So that's been 6-7 years. We've never got it fixed because it costs a lot of money. On the upside of that, it needs a new seal around it, and a new one of those trucks that we have is $625,000 roughly is my last quote. That's just not, that's not feasible, and I don't think that's really an option we would want to even pursue as far as that. You can buy a hydrovac trailer and that sewer machine together for less than you can buy an actual truck for it.
So the quote to fix the truck, was that also fixing the hydrovac portion?
No, that was
It's not.
that was just fixing the actuator and the water pump on it.
And this trailer can be hooked up to any truck.
So
correct,
you,
with the right hitch.
it needs to be a 3/4 ton truck because of the water capacity. Because the water weight on it is just too much for a 1/2 ton to handle. Other than that, yes, any 3/4 ton truck that we own, it could be hooked onto, and you can pull it wherever.
Will it enable you to fix that line behind, by the Brizzle Air building over here between Landon Barnes, the 600 block? I knew they're having some problems over there. They were asking me about that today, and I thought maybe it was stopped up or something.
I'm not really familiar.
Yeah.
Behind Stars. So I actually have a camera coming to do. I talked to Mr. Ford about this. I have a camera coming. I'm just waiting on Luck and Bill to get it to shake loose as far as actually cameraing that line. I've talked with the tenants in that building, and I've also talked with their plumber, and I've had another plumber come and look at it. And we're not sure if that's actually ours or theirs. So a camera will be able to kind of let us know what's going on in that deal.
This doesn't have a camera?
It has, you can buy the attachment, but as of right now, it does not come with the camera. It does have an attachment you can purchase later on, and I'm not exactly sure on a price on that.
Does Pipe Hunter have a competitor? Like, is there a competitor to this unit? And what's
It's called a Model 747. Sewer Equipment of Oklahoma, they build these trailers, and it's actually the unit that Cherokee has. Key Equipment with Pipe Hunter has a very, very high recommendation from OMAG, which is who I've got our sewer grant from, and they have some really good units that they come out with. They're actually cheaper than the Model 747s by, I believe, $11,000. Those are kind of they're a higher end, higher quality kind of sewer trailer. I'm not saying this one's not a good sewer trailer. They're just a little higher end. They're made with Vactor parts, so that makes a difference. Vactor is the truck we have now, and they're great vehicles, great trucks. They're higher end. They're name brand, I guess, if that's what you want.
What's the projected life of this piece of equipment?
20 years.
What's the warranty?
So the warranty on it is the first 1.5 years, and I don't have that agreement yet, but I know it's the first 1.5 years. They do, if your motor blows up or something crazy happens, they do come out and fix it. No shop charge.
Steve, what were the other quotes? We did get 2 other quotes.
Yes.
They were.
One was 100. I can actually tell you exactly.
The closest one I think was within $10,000, but then the other was way higher.
And that would be the Model 747 that I was talking about. That would be way higher. The other one is a smaller unit with not as much capabilities. Same PSI, just not as much capabilities.
And it looks like we're paying with this for the general fund that we're trying to the money that we're not needing to transfer.
Yes.
And this piece of equipment comes off next year's budget request.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So then we talked about that. So how much does the camera attachment cost?
I don't have a price on that yet, but I can get a price. I just, we haven't had one in the past, so didn't feel like that was a necessity right now. Just felt like
I wouldn't
getting
say it's a necessity, but we have many times been like, it'd be really nice to have one.
it would be
So,
nice to have it. It would, but just as far as getting down the road, as far as actually being able to respond to a call and with our own equipment, that's a huge thing. Because if not, in the middle of the night, if someone calls me and says, hey, our manhole's overflowing, I have to call over to Cherokee, 12 a.m., drive all the way over to Cherokee, grab their trailer, drive all the way back, so there's almost an hour.
And do you know how long the company that builds this unit, how long it's been in business?
A long time.
A long time.
I don't know an exact year, but a long time.
A long time. Perfect.
This will not require any kind of budget amendment. We will move the money around within the utility fund, which does not require, it doesn't require amendment. If we move money between funds, or if we, because we don't need to use this money where we have budgeted for, we just keep it in the utility authority, it doesn't require a budget amendment. If we move it from the general fund to the utility authority, then we would have a budget amendment that we would have to do. But this, if we do this, that's all the action that we're going to have to take on it.
I'd make a motion to approve the purchase of the vehicle as described in the agenda for $68,220.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, John.
I'll second.
Goes on the board. All right. We've got a motion from Mr. Winters and a second from Mr. Parsons to approve the Pipe Hunter Model 7724 tandem axle trailer with jet, and the capacities is listed for $68,220. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Parsons,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Dowling,
Yes.
and Swallow.
Yes.
We do not have any new business for this agenda either. So we will adjourn the Utility Authority meeting and open the Economic Development Authority meeting. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Winters,
Here.
Lahr, Dowling,
Here.
Swallow,
Here.
Bear,
Here.
Brooks,
Here.
Parsons,
Here.
Bowman.
Item 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AEDA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 20th, 2023. Item B, approval of claims in the amount of $19,904.25 and payroll expenses of $12,794.56.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Winters and a second from Mrs. Bear to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Bear,
Yes.
Swallow,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Dowling,
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
And again, there is no new business, and so we are adjourned. Thank you all.